Hello there everyone and welcome back to the next Rhen Var MOC update video. First off, I want to say thank you for the reception on the first video. I had a ton of feedback and suggestions. You guys had a lot of cool ideas, so I'm working in the next few episodes to implement some of those ideas. But for this episode, it's going to be a little bit of a filler episode. I'm going to be working on kind of a small room that sits inside of some of the main structures here before I move on to some of the larger stuff on the outside of the battlefield and the ice caves and the stuff like that. So overall, it's a very exciting episode. Without any further ado, let's get started. All right guys, the first thing we're going to work on today is this side wall, kind of the border. So essentially these stairs will lead to a platform up here and I needed something to cover this side of kind of this wall. So here's what I went with, a very similar design to some of the other walls I've been doing. This is kind of when I think of Rhen Var, this is kind of the texture and design that I wanted to go with. You can see I've got a couple of details in there with kind of some offset stuff and one stud back to make it kind of like a little hole right there to look like it's battle damaged. And I've added in some slopes, kind of some sideways slopes, just to give it a little bit of texture. I have never really done that before. Normally I do these kind of slopes up and down like this, but I wanted to kind of do kind of some slopes to make it seem like they're almost like vines, kind of like crawling up the side of these buildings. I kind of think that looks cool for a texture. So that's what I've got right there. The main thing is you can see I've got a little kind of entrance, a thing to look through here. So each of my mocks always like to do tunnels, hallways, you know, anything like that. I always love to have stuff eye level. So essentially what I'm going to be doing here with this little entrance is down in here, you can see I've got some jumper plates laid out there to plan a few things. I'm going to put the tomb from Rhen Var Citadel. There's a lot of cool elements from Rhen Var Citadel, so I was going back and forth between building that or Harbor, but Rhen Var Harbor has always just been my favorite, so I picked that one. But I want to include a lot of elements from the Citadel map as well. So in the Citadel, you can kind of go inside the monastery and the fortress, and there's kind of a tomb area, so that's what I want to have inside of here. And obviously up here will be covered for the next platform, but I kind of want just a small little area to have some lights and kind of a cool tomb area, so that's what I'm going to work on next. All right, so looking through here, here's kind of the first thing that I'm doing is these little pillar designs right here that I kind of noticed when I was looking back through that area on the map. So these are kind of these pillars that will support kind of the top here, kind of the roof, that'll be, you know, that'll go up here for the platform. So these support the roof, and these are kind of the main pillars that kind of go in a circular formation, and they go around the tomb itself. So those are kind of the pillars that I'm working on right here, and then the tomb will kind of go in the middle there, and I'll have to do some tiling and other stuff like that. But here are some of the pillars. Next thing I'm going to do is probably do some floor designs, wall designs, stuff like that, and I'll update you guys once I have some more progress. I've done a little bit more work here. You can see I've put a little tomb in there as well with a skeleton hanging out, and I've started on the floor design as well. And you can kind of see this is kind of the angle that you'll look at, so you can't see a ton of the rooms. That's something I was kind of balancing, is how much you'll actually be able to see of the room itself. So there's the kind of tomb right there with the skeleton. Here's kind of the floor design. I'm using some tile pieces here with the sand blue as well, kind of some rounded tile pieces there in the corner to kind of make these little squares, and that's kind of the main design that I'm doing throughout this room right here. So nothing too special for the floor design. Over here, you don't see any of this, so that's why it kind of doesn't look the same as that, so I don't have to replicate it because you're not really going to see that part. But these little squares I've got kind of going throughout the room right here. I think that looks okay. So this is kind of the angle you'll look at it from. And you can see I've got the tomb raised right there. I added some dark tan because just looking at the map, a lot of the room seemed like it was a dark tan color, and I didn't want to do the whole room dark tan, but I did want to add some color in this tomb area so it kind of sticks out a little bit. So that's what I've got there for the dark tan. I could change it if it's something you guys think that it's like, hey, that kind of sticks out too much, but this is what I've got so far. And next thing I'm going to do is build the wall. You can see gaps behind there, behind those kind of pillars, so I need to work in a wall design and then add some lights, and this room will be looking pretty good. All right guys, so I added in a wall behind the tomb right there, and it's pretty much just dark bluish gray masonry with some sand blue sticking out and some studs every once in a while. As you can kind of see back there, it's a little hard to see because it's a little dark, but there's a little better look on one side, and you can kind of see a wall right there. So that goes all the way behind those pillars right there, and everything is tiled out and looking pretty good. So this is kind of going to be this tomb area. So the next thing I'm going to add is a roof over this, and this will be where the next kind of platform goes on top of that, and then I'll put some lights in here and kind of set up some figures and close out the video. So that's kind of going to be it here, because at the time of recording this, I'm about to head out on vacation for Thanksgiving to see some family, so I gotta do a couple more things here and then wrap this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to add in the roof, and then try to add in some lights and see if there's anything else I can add here before I've got to close it out. All right, so I went ahead and put in some lights in here, And you can see I've done a little bit of a roof as well. I've turned all the lights off in the Lego studio right now as well. And I've got some figures in here to kind of show you guys what exactly I've been kind of working on here and thinking about. I've got Mace Windu's light up lightsaber. It's supposed to be purple. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera right here. We've also got a couple clone troopers back there as well. I've got a couple lights in the back kind of hanging off some of those pillars in the back to give it kind of that yellowish look, which I think is cool. One thing I'm wondering if it's too bright in here, because it's supposed to be kind of an underground tomb, so maybe it needs to be a little darker, but at the same time I really love being able to see all of the action that I'm going to put down here. So that's a little bit of a dilemma, is trying to figure out how bright to make it in here. Another dilemma I'm realizing with the roof right there is I need to pretty much make that roof entirely modular so I can take it on and off with ease, so I can put troops and everything down here when I'm setting up figures. So this roof right here needs to be modular. So I need to figure out a way to build this so I can just kind of set it on top and take it off, probably using some jumper plates and tiles. So that'll be something to think about for next episode, because I also need to be able to build on top of that platform, or on top of this roof for the next platform and the next building. So here's what we've got for the tomb area so far. Again, it's a little bit of a shorter episode. I apologize, but I do have to head out here. So let's go ahead and move on to the outro. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you did enjoy. Again, my apologies for not any huge exciting progress, but I kind of had this cool spur of the moment idea when replaying the Citadel map and trying to figure out what elements I could bring over into this MOC. And that's how I kind of came up with this kind of tomb idea, this underground area, since I always love doing those kind of small little details throughout the MOC. Stay tuned for the next couple episodes where I'll be getting on to some of the more exciting stuff, including the battlefield, some more buildings, and the ice caves. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, leave your feedback in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.